from the News Channel 5 Network. This is Urban Outlook.
Hello and welcome to Urban Outlook. I'm April Eaton. Thank you so much for being with us today. Fortune magazine reported a couple of years ago that African American females were the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the United States. The number of business-owned black women has grown more than 300% since 1997. And that's not just a national occurrence. Last year, Wallet Hub released a study that shows that Nashville is among the top cities for women to start a business. And we know that we've got many businesses in this area, of course. One person in one group that works to try to make sure those businesses get off the ground, get up and running, and be successful is the Nashville Business Incubator Center. The executive director of NBIC is Angela Crane-Jones. She joins us on the show today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So we heard the numbers. The growth of women in business is just booming, some might say, and not just nationally, but right here in Nashville. But you have a resource for people who are looking to start their own business. So give us a little history about the Nashville Business Incubator Center.
So the Nashville Business Incubation Center has been around for 30 years. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary. And so what we try to do at the Incubation Center is meet the clients where they are, and I do a handout or a hand up. And so we help them put the standard operating procedures in place by doing an assessment of their company and then, assessing where the gaps are within the organization. And then from there, we work with other resources in the community, and we also have subject matter experts that have offered us discounts that will work with the clients to help them grow their business, because a lot of times we'll just say in the underserved community, they don't have access to capital, they don't have access to the social capital that one would need to grow their business.
So when you say take people where they are, is it sometimes they're coming with just an idea and a dream of what I think I can do, or have they already been out there trying to make the business work and they even have some infrastructure in place? Where do most people come when they come to the incubation center? Most
of the clients that we serve have already been in business for a year to 18 months.
Gotcha.
We do take the individual that has the idea, because sometimes they've already begun to develop it at home and they just have not committed to send a paper, and we will help them put a business plan together. Now that's not an ideal client, because there are other resources in the community that will help them put the business plan together. But if it's someone where we see like visually they know everything that needs to be done, we would work with them. But majority comes to us that have been in business to 12 to 18 months, and that's our ideal client, because what they have done is bump their heads, and so then they're coachable. And so our ideal client is someone that's coachable. They're really open to, to the resources and information that we have available for them. You
don't come at this without some expertise and some knowledge of your own. You've been a business owner, so talk a little bit about your history.
So when I graduated from college, I was trying to decide, do I want to go in the corporate field or do I want to be an entrepreneur? And so we looked at a few franchises and decided to go into Dairy Queen. And so I own 2 Dairy Queens, and really enjoyed working with Dairy Queen, because Dairy Queen came with a system in place. So when I bought the franchise, they had the marketing system in place. They already had what the margins should be, and so I had someone to rely upon. And so that's kind of what I've tried to bring to our organization, is help individuals put systems in place, because a lot of times people don't have standard operating procedures.
Right.
They'll say they have an accountant, but really they have a bookkeeper, which is nothing wrong with having a bookkeeper, but they're 2 different individuals for where they're trying to go. You really need someone that's the bookkeeper, but you also need someone that's going to sit down with you and consult with you and help you understand your numbers, so you'll know if you're actually really making money for your industry, because in one industry the margins may be 10%, and another industry where the margins may be 20%, but you need to know in your industry, and that's what Dairy Queen offered me.
And marketing, I bet, information on how to properly market, all that good stuff that you probably bring to the table when you talk to these business owners that are trying to really move their businesses forward.
Yeah, so we try to work with subject matter experts in the community that we've already that we know that that particular subject matter expert will meet them where they are, because we also work with clients that we know they're not sophisticated. So their first inclination is, I want to be on Channel 5. I want to be, I want to take an ad out in
I want to have
BJ.
X number of customers coming through the door today.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of, let's do some guerrilla marketing, because they have limited, funding.
Right.
But we let's say when I started my business 20 years ago, you need to be in the yellow pages for people to consider you legitimate. And nowadays,
it's extinct.
Exactly. And so what automatically we're doing while we're talking to each other a lot of times is they're Google, they're on Google, looking for your website, going to LinkedIn. And so those are the things that we help them put in place. When it comes to the Incubation Center, the one thing that we know we will help them do is put a solid foundation in place, because we know if you build a house on a foundation that's not solid, it's going to eventually crack. And so for us is ensuring that they have a solid foundation by having a marketing plan in place, having an accounting system in place, having a legal structure in place, because a lot of times,
very litigious society in this day and time, isn't it?
Exactly. And when you first start out, you may not have that many assets, but you said you can become a multimillionaire. So we need to protect the assets now, because when we start making all the money, we may not think about it until something happens, and it's too late then. And then it would help them with the operations, because when we go through how to operate a company, a lot of people don't think about the all the HR laws, because we have employees now, because we've grown the company.
It seems like a huge feat, and I know a lot of people are able to do it without the help, but what have you found some of the common threads of the businesses that come through the Incubation Center? How are you able to really help them sort of solidify the idea, beyond the idea, to the business, and really take off? You've got a list of folks that have had some successful history and times with their businesses and have been in business for quite some time. What do you think those common threads, keys are to making those businesses work, no matter what the idea is?
I think for me, the number one is, I always tell people to build a village, because we don't think about, especially for me, it being a woman-owned business. At the time, I did not have a child, but coming up, I realized that a lot of times when women start companies, they don't have someone. When a business meeting is at 6 o'clock, well, who's going to pick up the child? So they may have to cancel the meeting or not take the meeting. But if you have a village and they've bought into your dream, they will support you. And I think the second thing is having a budget. Creating a budget and knowing what can you live on at a minimum as you grow your company, and be consistent with that budget. If it's $2,500 a month, then we need to consistently take out $2,500 a month, even when we had a $10,000 a month, a profit month.
Yeah.
And I think that the third thing is self-care. A lot of times we work a lot of hours and we forget to take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, then who's going to run the business? Who's going to keep the business going?
We used to hear that there was such a disparity in the way that lending organizations would support African American businesses versus other businesses, and that the trying times of trying to find the funds in order to really, invest in your business and get your business going were even more difficult, because lending institutions wouldn't provide you those loans to start the business. Does that still ring true today?
It still rings true today. I think one of the things that NBIC has done to help break down the barriers for our clients that's in our center is that we have a revolving loan fund in-house that's built on character, the way your grandfather used to do business. And how we measure the character is if they're actually doing the milestones that we've agreed upon. So when they come in the center, we give them we agree on milestones, and we evaluate those over 6 months. And after 6 months, if they secure some type of contract or they need to buy equipment, then 99% of the time we're going to say yes and help, and we'll lend up to $25,000. But in the meantime, we know that that's just a gap. And so how we fill that gap is work with other lenders in the community that are friendly to minority firms or the underserved community, that they're willing to meet them where they are, and we partner with those organizations so we can educate them on the importance of closing your books every month, the importance of your credit score, and a lot of times people don't understand that debt-to-income ratio will affect their credit score. So a lot of it's educating, and that's what at the Incubation Center that we do with our clients. It's educate them, work with them one-on-one to walk them through the process. And then we have alternative organizations that are CDFIs that have a little bit looser ratings. Well, I wouldn't say ratings, but they're not as stringent.
Gotcha.
They can look at the person from a little bit more from a holistic standpoint.
What are some of the other barriers that small business owners often run into besides the lending piece, just sort of not really having a true vision in place or realistic view of what will work in today's time?
I think a lot of them are not realistic, but I think that's also because they don't have the social capital, or when I say social capital, that circle where, you know, where they can vet. I try to tell our clients, and I try to practice myself, is to have people in the room that's smarter than you. And it's nothing, you know what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of times they'll come in and they want to be a $20 million company. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that dream. But we have to do it. But it doesn't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. And we have to do it in bite sizes. So, you know, the first year, let's be realistic. Is it that we're only going to do $250,000, you know, in sales, and then, you know, year two it may be $750,000 or $1 million, but it also comes with another set of problems, you know, when you're trying to scale the company. Right.
Well, I know, Angela, in the last 30 years you all have had some tremendous success, and I don't know if we can name names, but we'll find out after this commercial break. If you can talk about some of the companies that you've worked with in the past that are still strong and doing things today, we'll have a conversation about when we come back. Stay with us and we'll be right back after this.